Welcome to Two Agents in Sunshine Shift. I'm Monica Ștefănescu, your host and the Tampa Bay real estate agent with LPT Realty and PhD, specializing in relocation guidance and neighborhood micro-pockets.
I'm David Linton, co-host of Two Agents and Sunshine Shift. I'm a real estate agent with LPT and PhD. I am based in the Sarasota, Bradenton area, bringing the on-ground perspective on how these neighborhoods actually live day to day.
Each week, we break down what moving to Florida actually feels like, beyond maps, rankings, and listing photos. When I analyze whether a Florida neighborhood will age well, I never rely on intuition, aesthetics, or how hot the market feels. I always use a framework, and that framework has 3 layers. Layer 1 is failure velocity. Layer 2 is insurance survivorship bias. And layer 3 is deferred infrastructure risk. I use this framework every single time because Florida doesn't fail homes randomly. It fails them in patterns. And those patterns show up long before prices react. So as I walk through each layer, I'm also going to share the exact questions buyers should be asking when purchasing homes. Questions that expose how neighborhoods actually behave over time, not how they're marketed when, homes are being sold. The first layer is failure velocity. Failure velocity is the speed at which small manageable issues turn into expensive cascading problems. Florida doesn't slowly age homes. It accelerates weak assumptions. Heat, humidity, UV exposure, wind, water, rain are constantly stressing materials homes are built from. So the real question isn't whether something will fail. It's how fast failure spreads once it starts. In neighborhoods that age well, failure velocity is low. A roof issue always stays a roof issue. A drainage problem always stays outside. Moisture readings are isolated, not systemic. In neighborhoods that age poorly, failure velocity is high. A minor moisture issue leads to material breakdown. Exterior problems show up inside. One repair reveals 3 more. And here is something most agents don't say out loud. If a neighborhood requires perfect maintenance to survive Florida, it will not age well. Florida always finds the weakest assumption. Failure velocity shows up very clearly in inspections, but it also shows up in homes' behavior over time, which brings me to the questions that surfaces this the fastest. There are 3 questions I encourage buyers to always ask. What kind of repairs or issues tend to show up together in this neighborhood? The question sounds simple, but it's extremely revealing. In low failure velocity neighborhoods, issues stay isolated. In high failure velocity neighborhoods, issues travel. The second question: when deals fall apart in this neighborhood, what's usually the reason? Most agents are trained to talk about what sells, not what fails. But failed deals tell you far more than closed ones. If deals repeatedly die after inspection, failure velocity is already revealing itself. If they die late, after repairs, stacking, or insurance complications, that's an even stronger signal. And here is the third question, the one that ties failure velocity to long-term reality. If I own these homes for 10 years, what's most likely to become harder? Owning the home, insuring it, or selling it? This question forces long-term thinking instead of short-term reassurance. And guess what? Most agents are not trained to answer it calmly. The second layer is insurance survivorship bias. Insurance does not create risk. It reveals accumulated risks retroactively, once enough data exists. This is where buyers often ask the wrong question. They ask, is insurance affordable right now? Can I insure this house? The real question is asking how insurance behavior has changed over time. Neighborhoods that age well tend to have boring insurance histories, and we love boring insurance histories. Policies renew with adjustments, not shock. Coverage stays available. Deals still close. Neighborhoods that age poorly often feel fine until suddenly they don't. Carriers exit, premium spikes, and coverage becomes conditional or unavailable. And when listings start using language like buyer to verify insurability or insurance codes vary widely, that's friction already leaking into the market. Pay attention to it. Insurance reacts late, but when it does, it's usually confirming a problem that's been there for years. The third layer is deferred infrastructure risk. This layer is about how much long-term performance depends on systems that require perfect execution for decades. Florida is unforgiving to that model. Deferred infrastructure risk shows up most clearly in drainage and shared systems. Neighborhoods that age well rely on gravity. Water moves away naturally. Lots shed water independently. Neighborhoods that age poorly relied on shared retention systems, pumps, long-term HOA discipline, and uninterrupted funding. Those systems work until they don't. And when they fail, the consequences are sudden, collective, and expensive, really expensive. Deferred infrastructure doesn't fail gradually in Florida. It fails all at once. Now I want to explain how the three layers work together, because this is very important. A neighborhood doesn't need to be perfect in all three layers, but it cannot fail badly in any one of them. If failure velocity is high, insurance pressure accelerates. If insurance pulls back, resale friction increases. If deferred infrastructure breaks, costs stack up immediately. Florida punishes stacked risk. Neighborhoods that age well distribute stress. Neighborhoods that age poorly concentrate it. So let me pull this together clearly. When I analyze whether a Florida neighborhood will age well, I always use the same three-layer framework. Failure velocity, in other words, how quickly small issues turn into expensive cascading problems. Insurance survivorship bias, what insurance behavior reveals over time once real loss data exists. And infrastructure risk. Basically, I'm looking at how much long-term performance depends on shared system and perfect execution over decades. Every Florida neighborhood that performs well over time passes all three layers. Most neighborhoods that struggle fail at least one, and usually it's more than one. And the fastest way to see those layers clearly is by asking the right questions. Here are the 6 questions that uncover more than most inspections on listings ever will. What kinds of repairs or issues tend to show up together in this neighborhood? When deals fall apart in this neighborhood, what's usually the reason? Do owners here tend to fix things early or wait until something forces them to? What usually surprises buyers here after they move in? How insurance behavior changed here in this neighborhood over the last few years? If I own this home for 10 years, what's most likely to become harder? Owning it, insuring it, or selling it? These 6 questions map directly to the 3 layers. They expose failure velocity, they reveal insurance survivorship, and they surfaced deferred infrastructure risk. Because in Florida, neighborhoods don't age based on how they look when you buy. They age based on how they perform under heat, moisture, storms, insurance pressure, and guess what? They reveal human behavior year after year. That's the difference between buying something that feels good now and owning something that still works years down the road. Florida living isn't measured in distance. It's measured in daily friction. We'll see you next week.